Hey everyone, Woodstock here. Hope everyone's doing okay. Today we're just gonna focus on eyes, nothing else. A lot of people have problems with the eyes. It just becomes frustrating for people to attempt the carving. So I'm gonna try to make things a little easier. I don't know if that's gonna help, but I'll give it a shot. And I'm gonna be employing some drawing aids. I'm gonna be illustrating my methodology here momentarily. So if you want to stick around, I'll have that chapter marked if you want to go straight to it instead of watching through all this stuff, because this is going to be probably a little on the longer side video. But I'm using a pine knot that was in the bootleg fire. As you can tell, it's kind of scorched up and charred, and I'm going to keep the charred pieces on there because I think it adds to the face or the eyes. And like I said, we're just doing eyes, so I'm not doing nose or mouth or anything or along those lines. So, but I have this video with subtitles on that pop up periodically, highlighting like relevant points or thoughts. For instance, like right here, we're penciling in the areas that need to be worked on. So when I write with the pencil, that's the areas that I want to focus on with the Dremel. It usually means that's area to be removed. It's kind of like when you're in a forest and you're cutting trees. You mark a tree with a piece of ribbon that needs to come down, and the other ones with a blue ribbon, I think, is the one to keep, and a red ribbon or orange is the one to cut. So it's kind of something similar to that. And I'm not generally a speed carver like some other people are, but I try to take a more of a methodical approach. And I'm not trying to achieve hyper realism in this one. It's just mainly trying to create like an old face or old eyes with a lot of wrinkles on them. And it turned out this one almost looks like an alien. Like the eyes almost look unnatural, almost inhuman, because they're kind of not wide open, and they're kind of like they got slits on them. So it could be reptilian, perhaps, but I've always been drawn to like horror stuff, so there you go. Or fantasy. But if you guys have any questions, like if you're things that need addressing, just leave them in the comment. I'll try to reply. I usually try to. And we'll try to make you guys better carvers or achieve your goals that you want to achieve. hopefully hopefully I can help out with that. Like I said, I'm not a really good teacher, but I just like to explain things visually, like through the video, and hopefully that does it. But I can't stress enough practice. That's the main thing too. Don't give up. Because once you give up, you're throwing in the towel. You're basically saying, "I can't do it." And that's a bullshit fucking excuse. I hate to say that, to put it bluntly. But I could believe you could do anything you want if you put your mind to it. That's all. That's just my attitude. So if you're frustrated with eyes, uh, don't give up. I mean, that's the bottom line. And always refer to reference pictures, or when you're looking at photographs, like just like look at the eyes and see how they're constructed, or take an anatomy course too. That's a good one to help out with your faces as well. So I think of the eye as like an egg or something like that, more or less cut in half down the center line lengthwise. And then you put those egg shells over your eyes, and that's your eye mound. So that's where your eyes are going to be. And then you split your eyes to put your pupils in, so you could have your eyelids low, high, or in the middle of the mound too as well. It doesn't have to be perfect. The main thing is don't be scared to make mistakes. Everyone does in the first time. So there's going to be some problems always in the beginning, and then don't let that deter you. And check out other channels. I'm not the only channel that does these things, obviously. Like Jordy Johnson. Matt Carves too. He's been doing a lot of stuff like that. Like hands-on approach. More how to do things like that. I think he covered the eyes too quite often. So he's a good resource along with Jordy. Jordy tends to be a little bit faster, but that's just his nature. That's the way he carves. He's a speed carver, more or less, I would say. And that's okay. You know, I mean, everyone's different. Yeah, I just wanted to mention also Just Carve Robbie's another great channel to check out wood carving tutorials. Me, I'm just kind of more like a beating around the bush kind of carver, you know, take things a little slower. And I like to do things in segments. I don't like to do full-blown carving, like boom, bomb, you're done. No, it's not like that for me. It's like I'll start a project, step away, take some pictures, look at it, see what needs to be done, and then, because I have a lot of other things I do during the day, not just carving, but I try to maximize spread out things so I get multiple things done during the day. So like, and I apply that to carving as well, because sometimes all you do need is sleep on it, and then you wake up and you go, oh shit, you know, like what the heck. Now I know what to do, because sometimes it takes a bit to sink in, you know, what you want to do. But there's people that do start to finish right away. They complete the job in one sitting, which is fine. I mean, that's okay. But I like to spread things out a bit, give some breathing room, more or less. But sorry about my babbling, if that makes any sense to you or not. But as mentioned, I have these little pop-up captions that highlight certain things that I'm doing while we're talking, or while I'm talking, I should say. But and this is a completely I don't know if you want to call it green energy. I mean, I guess you could call it that, but it's I got these solar generator gear that's called Ecoflow. It's basically you hook up solar panels and it just charges your batteries, and you're basically you can run almost anything off these, like a small house, run a small refrigerator, circular saw, die grinders off this thing. It's pretty nice because it doesn't limit your carving to one area at your house. You could take it on the road and do some desert carving and stuff, for example, like what I've done in the past, where you don't hear anything except the silence and the birds and the animals or whatever you want to, except, and then obviously the grinder is going to make some noise. So I didn't mean to babble on like that for the introduction. I mean, we're almost like into like 10 minutes now. And I think this is going to be close to like a 30-minute video. It's one of my longer videos, but I figured, I didn't cut anything out of this video. I didn't really, I sped things up too for posterity's sake, but also what you see here is the exact sequence of the carving. There's no like serious edits. There's just edits when I stop to take a break or something or change tools or whatever. We're all like, I want to include that, but this carving took a period of 3 days. I didn't spend a lot of hours each day on the project, but just enough until I thought I was satisfied with the work for the day, and then I like to ponder what I've done. For example, reflect on the day's work and see what needs to be done. And as I mentioned before, it's more methodical in nature. But I do a lot of continual cycling of carving where I put something in, few gouges or something like that, and then put the pencil on, and then maybe use a scribe or an awl, scratch out some details, and then usually finish off with some steel wool or wire wool, kind of like give it a little, cosmetic appeal by smoothing things out that are kind of rough, and then repeat the whole process again until I find something that I like, the end result. Because when I'm doing the eyes, I focus on the corners of the eyes on each side, so they're more recessed than the middle of the eye, which protrudes outward more so than the corners. So if you keep that in mind, your eyes will be more realistic. They won't be just like a flat saucers, like pasted on a flat wall or something like that. So, and then if you keep that in the back of your mind, the spherical nature of a face. And then the thing I like about these knots, they're already a cylindrical shape, so almost all your work's done. Except the most protruding part would be the nose, so you got to keep that in mind. But the eyes, you could fudge with those quite a bit and push them back into the wood to achieve your more three-dimensional result. And hopefully I get some illustration here pretty shortly here to exemplify my ramblings on previously of what I've been talking about. So basically we have an eye here and we have an eye there, arbitrarily speaking. So this is that eye, and this is that eye, so to speak. So basically, let's look at these. So this is looking front on, and the nose would be like somewhere around there. But let's not concern about the nose. Let's concern ourselves with the eyes. More or less oval, looking straight on. Then if you're looking up, you're going to see cups like that. There's a nose there. So forehead. So that's looking up. Slightly. So you got like a mound there and a mound there. And these corners are pushed inwards. Pushed into the video, into the head, recessed right here. And then the top of the mound is where the pupil is, right there. So if that makes any sense. And I do this steel wool stuff constantly throughout the process because it just gives me an idea and what the final product's going to look like after, and then also along the way it kind of knocks down the high parts too. I mean, I could use a power tool, for example, but to do this kind of work where you're sanding or like polishing some of the wood with the steel wool, but I know some people have these sander attachments on rotary tools, which is good for large scale work, I would say. But I've always been kind of like a hands-on person, using as much as I can without reliance on electrical gadgetry, except for the Dremel. I have to admit I'm a sucker for that, but excuse me. But with this kind of knot, you're constantly brushing off the debris. And then I'm jumping in with the Dremel Stylo Plus, which seems to work pretty well. It doesn't get too bogged down with this kind of stuff. But I think where the Stylo Plus really shines is with the smaller burrs and a super detailed stuff where you're not relying on torque completely. And I'm going to leave that little black patch between the eyes there because it's almost like a shield or a helmet. And the point of this knot is it's like a spirit that's been trapped in one of the knots, hence the wood spirit, obviously. But anyway, this one represents the bootleg fire because it's more charred and burned up, and it shows what kind of damage the fire did to this area. So this spirit's been damaged, and it's kind of like wrinkled and old, and it's at the end of its life, possibly. So hence the the wrinkly stuff going on or underneath the eyes and around the eyes. As mentioned earlier, this project spanned over 3 days, and I spent a few hours maybe only each day, maybe 2 hours, something like that. But I cut down a lot of the video because some of it's superfluous, like behind the scenes, like changing out bits and stuff, and coffee break, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, didn't want to include all the excess stuff. I mean, basically I'm here just to cover the topic of eye carving and try to get a realistic representation of it in wood. I'm not trying to achieve hyper-realism here, but it does get to the point where it's almost a realistic kind of carving, but there's something a little different about it. And no, I don't have the eye slits perfectly angled, like reflecting each other as a like a mirror image, more or less. There, because when I looked at people's eyes, sometimes like there's always like it looks like very often I see an eye that's like more closed than the other eye. It's like usually it's their left eye that's slightly more closed than the right eye. The right eye is more wide open for some reason. But then I see some people that they almost look like robots or aliens, like they're perfect. Like each eye's like measured width perfectly on eye to eye or something like that. So little differences you notice. And then the weird eyes you see are one eye's looking off to the right and the other eye's looking off to the left. It's like a floating eye or something like that. Those are kind of funny. I had a couple friends that had that problem. And I think what they refer to is, like I said, lazy eye, where it's like drifts around. It's not, doesn't stay parallel to the other eye. So, and that's another thing you can apply to your carving when you're doing eyes. Throw a curveball in there. Like maybe one eye is a little bit off kilter compared to the other eye. And it just gives your face a more kind of believable kind of face, or more emotion possibly, as opposed to having basically round saucer shaped eyes that are flat. You don't want that unless you're achieving some kind of low relief thing, which is okay. But when you're doing the wood spirits, I think it's good to have more depth around the anatomy on your face. And also, like, to get off topic about the eyes, like when you're working on the mouth and nose, the same thing applies to those, because the corners of the mouth are pushed farther back into the face. And the front teeth stick out farther than the molars, obviously. So think of it like that. And apply that to your face, and then you'll have I think some better results, if that's your intention. But everyone is different, obviously, and they carve differently, take a different approach, whatever works best for you. I'm more or less kind of a messenger here from my experiences, and maybe that'll apply for you guys. And it's also your the motivation. If you're really motivated, you can really push through that trepidatious barrier that holds you back from doing what you want to do. And when I started out, I struggled with eyes a little bit, but I quickly overcame those because I made it a point not to let me um, to not disappoint me. I just wanted to be not shackled by like some silly problems and more or less I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, I just didn't want to be hindered by anything, and made it a point to make it a goal to um, do the best that I can. And every day that I carve, I try to like push myself a little bit in a different direction. And I think that also helps too, being open-minded, willing to explore a little bit. Don't be deterred by like carving or anything like that, because some people say, oh, I could never do that. Like when you say that, you're putting yourself down right there. Like they go like, how do you do that? Like I don't, like I can't do that. Like, I mean, it comes naturally easier for some people than others. And it just takes less time for those people with the inherent talent to do that. So like someone that struggles, for example, it's going to just take a little longer. But once you get past that, it's just going to be like riding a bike. And this tends to be more of an advanced eye carving. So um, if you're already good at eyes, this definitely should help, I would imagine. But if you're a beginner, I guess you could filter out some of the stuff that is usable in the video to your benefit and apply accordingly to your needs, and then you should be okay. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of this video. I hope you all have gotten something out of this, or perhaps helped you achieve your carving needs with this video. As far as eyes go, they tend to be on the difficult spectrum of the carving endeavor. So, bottom line is practice, don't give up, keep trying. Once you break through that barrier, things are on the downward slope. Until next time, take care and stay safe.